So linear algebra background, the next data mining topic we are going to cover will be the dimension reduction and then applications of dimension reduction, which will involve recommender systems or some kind of synonym detection in words and things like that. So essentially some information retrieval, text mining topics and all those, right? But so linear algebra is something you have all studied, and linear algebra background you have also covered recently in Shagatam sir's class. So what I will do, these are a standard set of slides I made sometime, and there is some hands-on also together with this to strengthen your intuition for which are required for this particular portion, the dimension reduction portion. I will cover only those portions again, maybe with a slightly different viewpoint, so that it will not hurt you. I mean, if you are completely comfortable with this, you might get bored, but probably many of you will still find this useful. Okay, so let's start. I will not discuss scalar and vector. So these, let's just go over this. Norm of a vector also you all know, right? The distance. Okay. So basic vector operations, inner product and all those things. So just tell me it at any point of time if any of you want to revise something, but otherwise I'll start from here, vector space. Okay. So let's just remind you what a vector space is. Okay, what a vector space is. A vector space over real numbers is a set of objects which are vectors which satisfy the following properties. It is closed under an operation called addition. That means if you add two vectors, it will remain a vector within the same set. Okay, there is a unique zero vector which if you add to anything will not change that vector. Okay, and every vector has a minus v, right? So that v plus minus v will be 0. And the set is also closed under an operation called scalar multiplication. That means you can multiply the vector with a number, a real number. Okay, then if you multiply it with an alpha v, you will get multiply with an alpha, you will get alpha v, and alpha v will also be a part of the same vector space, right? And the following properties will be satisfied, that 1 times v is v, and the associativity is satisfied for both operations this way, right? So this is what definition of a vector space is. Okay, I hope everybody remembers this. Now we will live with, so obviously in linear algebra or mathematics, vector space can be very general, even more generalized to rings, but we will live with real vector space Rn for most of our life with data mining, data science or anything, or machine learning and so on, right? Anything we do, we will live with the vector space Rn. That means the n dimensional real numbers. Okay. So now this is the important concept, subspace, because when we do dimension reduction, subspace will be a very important thing to look at. So what is a subspace? Let's say we have a vector space V over R. A subspace W is a subset of V such that W itself has to be a vector space with over R with the same vector addition and scalar multiplication. Okay. So what does it mean? It means that you cannot just take any subset of vectors from the vector space. They have to satisfy those properties, closed under addition. The zero vector has to be there. If you multiply it with any scalar, that vector also has to be within the set, right? So let's just quickly go through and let's be interactive. I mean, I know there are 25 of you, maybe, or 30 of you. Okay, I will just quickly ask you questions. Different, you all answer, but of course one at a time, which is hard to coordinate right now. But I don't want the same person to answer every time. So, please all be interactive. So if we take the two-dimensional real plane, which is a vector space R2, okay, set of points on the two-dimensional plane, what are its subspaces? is this a subspace? Just a singleton set 0, 0. Is it a subspace of R2? Okay, anyone?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
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 sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay, it's a subspace of R2 because all required properties are satisfied. So whatever you do, it's going to stay at 0, 0. Nothing is going to happen, right? So it's a subspace. Okay. What about 0, 0 and 0, 1? Two numbers only. Two vectors only.
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Okay. So why no?
Linear combination may lead to.
Right. So not closed under addition or scalar multiplication, right? Things will go out of this set. Okay. What about the axis? Just the x-axis. So that means x comma 0. The
Yes.
line.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
This is a subspace, and this is actually going to be very interesting because we'll see that this can be a projection, right? So a line on a two-dimensional plane, a line can be used as a projection onto one-dimensional subspace. So we will actually generalize these kind of things. And let's say this line, what about this? 3x plus 2y equal to 5. So this is a line. Is this a subspace of R2?
Yes, sir.
Okay, think a bit more carefully.
Yes.
0, 0 is not there.
0, 0 is not there. Fantastic. So this is a line, but it does not pass through 0, 0. Okay. So these are the checkpoints. Okay. Whether a subset of a vector space is a subspace. So 0, 0 is not there in 3x plus 2y equal to 5. So this is not a subspace. All right. So let's move on. The span, obviously, this I think you remember, right? Everybody remembers. So V is a vector space. The span is a subset. So let S be a subset of V. Then the span is just all the vectors that you can make with the vectors of S. Make means use linear combinations, right? So all finite linear combinations of vectors in S. Okay, finite means you have to. So there can be infinitely many vectors in S, right? But you cannot have an infinite series, infinite sum here. All finite linear combinations from S, where alphas are scalars and VI's are vectors. For example, the span of 1, 0 and 2, 0. So 1, 0 and 2, 0 are these 2 points, let's say. What would be the span of this?
X-axis.
Just the x-axis, right? The span of this is just the x-axis. Okay. What about, let's say, these 3 points, 1, 1, 2, minus 1, and 3, 1?
2D plane.
2D plane.
This is a whole 2D plane, obviously. You can actually make any point with these. Okay. So this is R2. But the question is, oh, sorry. So this is, yeah. So this, you can make with any finite combination, you can actually make the 2D plane. But we will see that, yeah, this spans R2. But this is not really the best thing that we want. So for this, we will have to define basis. So basis is another important concept that we must understand properly. Set of vectors B, which is a subset of the vector space, is called a basis if we can make every vector in V as an unique finite linear combination of vectors in B. So finite linear combination of vectors in B just means that B spans V. With B, I can make V. Okay. From linear combinations of vectors in B, I can make all the vectors in V. Okay. Just means the finite linear combination part. Okay. However, it has to be done in a unique way. So obviously, clearly a basis is a subset for which the span is the total vector space, right? But is that all? Just consider our previous example. Is this a basis of R2?
No, sir.
Okay, it's not a basis of R2. Why? Because let's say 3, 0. Okay, we can actually make multiple linear combinations to make 3, 0, right? So you can write 3, 0 as 1, 1 plus 2 minus 1. You can also write 3, 0 as another linear combination of 2 vectors here, right? So it's not a basis. So uniqueness is not satisfied. I mean, I'm not going into the details of this. So this means the basis vectors need to have this important property called linear independence, So set of vectors is called linearly independent if at least one of the vectors can be written as a linear combination of the others, right? So set of vectors which are not linearly independent is called linear. So set of vectors which are called linearly independent are basically the ones which are not dependent. Okay, so the examples, these two, 0, 1 and 1, 0, they are linearly independent. What about 0, 1 and 0, 3?
No, not really.
Not linearly dependent. Okay, what about these three? Again, you by now know that any
No.
three vectors in R2, okay, will not be linearly independent. They are dependent, and similarly, this also. Okay, so basis is a linearly independent subset that spans the vector space. So these are all standard linear algebra. Now, this is the important thing that that you may not have seen before. Okay, so let's say we are used to interpreting the points as x1, x2 in R2, right? Where the set of vectors 1, 0 and 0, 1 are the basis. So these are my bases, the gray points. So the gray lines, right? So 1, 0, 0, 1. These two vectors are my basis, right? And suppose my point 3, 0, then the 3, 0, okay, then that is interpreted as 3 times 1, 0. So 3 times the first basis vector and 0 times the second basis vector. All right. Now, what do you mean by change of basis? So change of basis essentially means that we see differently. Suppose you stand in a room, okay, you are facing the x-axis. So suppose you are standing in the room and you are facing this way, okay, you are actually, let me annotate here. So you are actually, let's say, you are standing in the room and you are actually facing this way. So this is your face, this way. Now that means this portion is on your left, this is your left, this is your right, and so on. This is your right, and so on, right? Okay. Now your back, behind, and all those things. Now if you change your basis, what happens is essentially you move around, and also as if you are wearing a different kind of lens. So you know that with a fisheye lens, you can actually see much wider thing in a narrower frame of view, right? And with a different kind of lens, you can only see very little instead of whatever view we can see and things like that. So essentially change of basis is a different frame of reference. So what will happen if we change the basis here to the following two vectors? So this is a basis, right? So 1, 1 and 2 minus 1, these two. So 1, 1 and 2 minus 1. If we take these two as axis, now this is the first axis, this is the second axis, right? If we take these two as axis, then also it's a basis. So every vector in R can be represented in terms of these vectors. Now let's try to represent our old point 3, 0 in terms of the blue axis, not the gray one. It will look like as if you just turn this picture a bit around. So if you just turn this picture a bit around, okay, and you come here, right? So then it will look like this is your 1, 1, and this is your 2 minus 1, and this is your 3, 0. So, and this is a bit slanted. So it feels like this parallelogram. And in this case, we don't have a parallelogram. You would have a square or rectangle, right? Because they are 90 degree, but this is, I mean, in this case, they're actually not literally 90 degree or something. Oh, I'm sorry, something happened here. Yeah, they're not literally 90 degree. So, but it looks like a 1, 1. And how do we get that, right? So it looks like a 1, 1 because I can actually do just 1, 1 and then 2 minus 1. Then I will get 3, 0. So 1 times this plus 1 times this will get 3, 0, right? So in this frame of reference, 3, 0 is equivalent to 1, 1. So more like 1, 1 in the new frame of reference. Okay. So now let me clear my annotation. So how do we actually make that effect? So let us write our canonical basis as two vectors stacked as columns, right? So our canonical basis is 1, 0, 0, 1, the usual axis that we are used to. In this case, 2-dimensional. And the vector 3, 0, okay, the one we are interested in, essentially is viewed as the basis times the vector. 3, 0 is our representation, so it is 3, 0. If we take a different basis, right? So 2, -1 and 1, 1, right? So if we take a different frame of reference, then the vector 3, 0 can be viewed as, okay? So it can be viewed as, yeah, so there is some problem here. I think, yeah, I think there is some mistake on the left. I will correct it later. I think something happened. So essentially what it will become, it's B2 is this times 1, 1. That is our 3, 0. So what happened? If we change the basis, our vector representation changes. Okay. So did you get the intuition that essentially changing the basis, and the basis vectors can be written as a matrix stacked column wise, right? The vector representation changes. So when we do dimension reduction or projection or anything like that, what we are actually going to do, we're actually going to make effect of these kind of transformations. Okay. Now matrix. So any questions at this point, right? So this, of course, I mean, all of you knew this, but it's just that I wanted to give you this point of view. So let's move on. So the matrix and all, you all know, matrix multiplication and all. So identity matrix, system of linear equations. This is what I wanted to come to. Linear transformation. This also you know. So linear transformation is any function from a vector space to another vector space, so that you have these two properties. Okay, for all vectors u and v in the domain and any real number c, we can have, what is it? That means if you add the vectors and then transform, it will be same as if you transform them separately and add. And if you multiply the vector with a scalar and then transform, it will be same as transforming the vector and then multiplying with the same scalar. Now, you all know that essentially any linear map from Rn to Rm, that means n-dimensional real space to m-dimensional real space, is essentially multiplication on the left by some m cross n matrix. You where n cross 1, you multiply by m cross n, you get m cross 1. Okay. And we can write that as, for any v, any vector in Rn, fv is some a times v, where a is this matrix. Okay. Now again, coming back to the same thing. Yes. So this, what we did, we actually, if we had this, we multiply with this transformation, we get this, right? So some transformations can also be seen as change of basis if we stay in the same dimension, right? Because the original data points remain the same, the people remain the same, we just see them differently. So that is the main point here. Okay. So let's quickly look at the volume of a linear transformation. So linear transformation is determined by how it transforms the basis, right? So suppose we have our original basis 1, 0 and 0, 1, and the basis vectors from the basis vectors, what do they do? They form the square, and the area of the square is 1, right? So this area of the square is 1. Now if you transform with a matrix 2, 0 and 0, 1.5, what do? You change the basis vectors, right? So the first basis vector then becomes 2, 0, and the second basis vector becomes 0, 1.5. And now your area becomes 3. And this is what essentially is the determinant. So what is the determinant of a matrix? If you use the matrix as a linear transformation, what is, how do you change the area of the unit square or cube or unit volume? Okay, so in the higher dimension, you can see unit volume. How do you change the volume of how does unit volume change to a larger volume as you transform with this matrix? That is the determinant. Okay, so this I'll not go into the detail, you can actually read up. So just to tell you that positive determinant means the two basis vectors, their orientation is the same, like from here, if you move counterclockwise, you go to the second basis vector. So this is this, but negative determinant means you have swapped it. So this will give you a negative determinant, but the magnitude of the determinant will remain the same in case you just took the same vectors. Okay, so determinant and inverse also I actually don't want to get into. This is a point. What happens when the determinant is 0? That means you are actually sending something to a lower dimensional space and you are making the volume 0. So the corresponding intuition in 2-dimensional to 1-dimension is the following. You had like an identity matrix, right? 1, 0, 0, 1, and the determinant of that is 1. Now, if you take this matrix 2, 1 and 1 half, so 2, 1, 1 half. Well, they are the same line, so they are linearly dependent, right? Now, if you collapse the axis into the same line, then any point on the whole space or whole plane will actually come to this line. That means you are actually collapsing your plane into a line. Okay, that means your volume is no more, a volume is 0. The area, so volume in this case is area, right? So area of the unit square will now become 0. So that's the intuition behind determinant of some matrix being 0 means, well, you are actually, it's not full rank, right? So that means you're actually going to a smaller dimensional space. Okay, so how does a matrix transform all vectors? How many of you are extremely comfortable with all kinds of transformations, like let's say a rotation, a shear, a scaling, and all those? Can you raise your hands? How many of you are extremely comfortable? Rotation, shear, reflection, these things?
Sir, a brief recap would be beneficial.
Brief recap will be very efficient, right? So that's why I made this. So that's good. Let's just do that. I mean, this is totally fine because trust me, every few years when I do the recap, it helps me too. So how does a matrix actually transform all? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. We will actually come back to this, but before that, this actually I'm going to start with eigenvalues, which I'll do today. Okay, our class is still 120, so I'll actually finish with eigenvalues, and the next class we'll go on to dimension reduction. But before that, I will actually do something else. So what I will do is, yeah, it is much better done with this Jupyter notebook than just slides. Okay. So matrices, okay, these were essentially made when I wanted to, teach NumPy to some group of students, but let's not bother about this as of now. We can actually run all of them. And I hope you already know how to do these things. Otherwise, I'm going to give you this. Yeah. So here is what we are going to start. So matrix, oh no, so not matrix operation. I'm going to start with, linear transformation. Okay, you can see my slides.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So linear transformation, right? So linear transformation, we said that linear transformations are, in this case, we are only going to look at 2D plane, right? To 2-dimensional plane. So what we are going to do, we're going to understand several kinds of linear transformation and a few which are not linear with an example. Okay. So in Rn, every linear transformation is essentially multiplication by a matrix. Okay. But in this case, what we will do, we will take R2. And instead of one vector, so one vector will not give you the idea. What we'll do, we'll take 102 points and we'll see relatively how they change, right? So we'll see how different transformations work on this set of points. And obviously, what you are going to see, it's a set of 102 points. And so I just, yeah, so these are my points. And let's see what these points tell us. Okay, so it's a picture, right? How many of you know this picture? Anybody knows this picture?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't know.
Okay, so this is kid stuff actually, Ranjan. So grown-ups will only come to know when there are kids around. So this is Peppa Pig. It's a cartoon character. So it doesn't matter. So let's say, so what happens if we multiply every individual point here. So all that I have done is essentially I have drawn 102 points, and in a particular way I have joined them just to make it a picture, right? So what, and also colored a couple of them to blue and so on. So don't worry about it. Now, what happens if we multiply this by identity transformation? Nothing happens, right? So this is the original picture. The transformed is this. So nothing happens. So identity, nothing happens. Now let's do scaling. So scaling or stretching the nth axis by some scalar Sn greater than 0 by a diagonal matrix of the form. So what is scaling? Scaling in the two-dimensional case will be, instead of 1 0 0 1, I will have some number 0 and 0 some number. Now these numbers will have to be greater than 0 because we are just scaling. If we take a negative number, it will be something else. Okay, but it can be less than 1. So it doesn't mean that we have to only stretch, we can also squeeze. Okay, so in this case, what I'm starting with 1.50 and 0 1. Okay, so let's do that, which means my x-axis should be stretched by 1.5 times, my y-axis should remain the same. So now my Peppa Pig should actually just become a bit wider, right? Okay, so just like a stretched. This happens when you see non-HD 4x3 news channel stretched on a HD movie, right? A 16:9 TV, right? So this is what happens. I hope all of you have experienced that. Now, so this is basically stretching the x-axis by 1.5 times, but keeping the y-axis the same. Now, let's do both. Stretch x-axis by 1.5 times and y-axis by half times, right? So let's just do that. Okay. So now this was your original picture, and well, you stretch the x-axis but squeeze the y-axis, right? So this is another kind of scaling. So in general, anything of this form, any diagonal matrix of positive diagonal entries will give you just this effect, some kind of a scaling effect. Everybody all right? Okay. If not, just tell me to stop and I'll explain again. So now let's do reflection. Now reflection on the line x equal to y. What is the x equal to y line? That is, if you start with 0 0, it is this line, right? So it's that x equal to y line. Okay. So reflection on the line x equal to y is essentially swapping the coordinates. So what means is that the x-axis, if you reflect, will become the y-axis, the y-axis will become the x-axis. Okay, and that just means my first basis vector was 1 0, and now my first basis vector should be 0 1. My second basis vector was 0 1, the second basis vector now becomes 1 0. So changing basis vectors or permuting basis vectors will give us this effect. So obviously for a two-dimensional case, if we permute and if we change, it's not the identity permutation, then it's going to be a reflection. For higher dimensional case, it is actually going to be a permutation, right? Okay, so let's actually see. So this now simply becomes this. As you can see, this is a reflection on a line like this, a slanted 45-degree line like this, right? Okay, so this is reflection multiplication by 1 0 1 1 0. What if you want to reflect on some axis instead of x equal to y? So reflection on the x-axis should keep x values the same, but only the y value should become negative. So then you keep your first basis vector the same, 1 0, but the second basis vector should, instead of remaining 0 1, now become 0 minus 1. So whatever was your y should now become minus y. So that is reflection on the x-axis. Whatever y now becomes minus y, right? So then you multiply by 1 0 and 0 minus 1, right? Once you develop the intuition on these things, you can actually just draw a picture and basically play around with it, and you can also come up with what is the matrix that is causing this, right? Obviously, I think in the graphics course and all, this will be done in much more detail, and you will actually get used to it. But this is essentially, well, maybe I should have extended the range here. But this is reflection on the x-axis. Similarly, reflection on the y-axis will just be, you keep the y-axis the same, x-axis becomes minus 1 0. Okay, so this is reflection on the y-axis. Now let's come to a bit more complicated thing. So far it was all like diagonal matrix and diagonal matrix, right? Scaling, reflection. So all the matrices were diagonal, and that's easy to interpret because we're just, playing around a little bit, tweaking every basis vector, but are not really changing their angles, right? So here, what we are doing, we'll push things sideways. The further from the origin, more the effect. Y axis remains the same, 0, 1. The x axis, instead of 1, 0, now becomes 1, 1. So let's see what happens. So this was our original picture, right? So X original picture. Now everything pushed sidewise. So 1, 0 becomes 1, 1. So that means my X values are kind of the more the Y value, the more X is pushed. So it's something like below at 0, 0 you are fixed. Okay, here you are fixed, but as if somebody has pushed, okay, so somebody has pushed Peppa Pig, and more on the top, little bit less at the bottom, like this, right? So then it has come to this kind of a picture. So that is shear. Okay, now, so similarly, shearing to Y direction will be like 1, 0, 1, 1. So something like this. You can, the more the X, the Y becomes more stretched. Okay. And finally, we'll come to rotation. So rotation by theta counterclockwise around the origin is simply cos theta minus sin theta cos theta. Well, if theta is 45 degree, then we are going to rotate it 45 degree. Okay. So around the origin means it's like 0, 0 is our origin. We are going to rotate it like this here. So this gets rotated this way around 0, 0. So 0, 0 is here. You're rotating it like this. Okay. So that is what you're doing. All right. I guess, yeah. So this, and finally, projection, also the counterclockwise thing, it's obvious. You can actually play around. Projection is, you have 1, 0 remains 1, 0, but 0, 1 goes to 0, 0. You are essentially dropping one basis vector. So you are discarding one of your basis vectors. This is going to be extremely useful when we do singular value decomposition based projection, PCA, SVD, latent semantic indexing, or anything like this. Right? So projection essentially is, you had two basis vectors, but you drop one of them. That means, well, all my Peppa Pig now kind of smashed to the ground, right? So it's basically all becomes on x-axis. So obviously in this case, projection would not give you a nice picture, but from a 3D to 2D, it will become like the Tom and Jerry getting smashed onto the ground and becoming pictures, and then they get up again, that kind of an effect, right? So all those things. So combining transformations, this I'll not go into this right now. So you can actually transform one and then do another and another. So there you can actually do them. Remember, they're not commutative. That means, sorry, they're associative, but you cannot interchange their order all the time. So that's what you cannot do. Okay, so having done this, these were all, I guess, fun and light fun and just a revision. Now let's come to, so this was all fine, right? No question on this. Now let's come to the understanding of eigenvectors. Again, an important point in understanding PCA kind of things. In the PR course, you will do PCA for one perspective. In this course, you will do PCA kind of things for another perspective. So it's important in either case. So let's draw unit vectors in all directions. So we
Sir,
have
one question.
yes.
Small question. Yes. Sir, projecting onto a pair of, for example, we change the basis, right? We
Right.
saw the transformation of basis.
Right.
Projecting onto the basis vector axis is same as transforming on that basis.
Is same as
transforming to the
It
basis.
is actually a linear transformation, but not from the same basis vector, same space to the same space. It is actually transformation from a higher dimensional space to a lower dimensional space. Right? So in this case, of course, we saw 2 dimension to 1 dimension. That's not really interesting. One dimension is never interesting. But if we do 3 to 2, then it will look more interesting, right? So if you draw a 3D volume, 3D picture, and then you project onto, let's say, just the XY plane, that means you make the last basis vector 0, all 0. Okay, so 0, 0, 1, that was your basis vector, you make that all 0. Then you are actually projecting to your XY plane. Okay. Hey folks, just keep on mute. Okay. Okay. Fine. So now let's understand eigenvectors and eigenvalues. Listen to this very carefully. I mean, I'm sure all of you know eigenvectors and eigenvalues, but you may not have this intuition. When I also didn't have it when I was at your age, it was very hard. So you may not also have it. Some of you may have it. So whatever it is, let's just go through this. Let's draw unit vectors in all directions. Okay, so let's say this is 0, this is 1, right? So this is 1. So unit vectors in all directions. Now the identity matrix performs the identity transformation. That means every vector remains the same. So the blue vectors are, the gray vectors are the original ones, the blue vectors are what happened after you transformed. All right. So that's how I have tried to draw this picture in Jupyter Notebook and then imported it here. Let's do this. How many vectors are retaining their directions? That means from this, how many vectors are still in the same direction? Okay, anybody?
All vectors.
All vectors. So all vectors are still retaining the same direction. So then the identity matrix works as a scaling with a factor 1 for all vectors. So the identity matrix is a scaling with a factor 1 for all vectors. Okay, so that's the nicest matrix, fine. Now let's do scaling with a diagonal matrix. So we saw that if we change the identity matrix, the diagonal entries were 1. If we change them to other entries, then we do scale. Saw that. So let's do scaling with a diagonal matrix. So let's say scaling with half 0 and 0, 2. That means the x-axis squeezed to half and y-axis becomes double. So let's say what happens. So now we have this, right? So this vector 1 becomes half, that 1 becomes 0, 1 becomes 2, and essentially all other vectors. So this one, so this one becomes this vector, this one becomes this vector, and so on, right? Okay, so that's what happens. Now I'll ask the same question. Which vectors are scaled along the same line? The directions are the same?
X and Y.
X and Y axis.
X and Y axis. Just the vectors along 1, 0 and 0, 1. Okay, so all other vectors change their direction. So now we can come to the definition of eigenvectors and eigenvalue. An eigenvector of a linear transformation T is a non-zero vector that changes only by a scalar factor when T is applied to it. Okay, so that means in this case, what are the eigenvectors of this matrix? Well, any vector on x-axis or any vector on y-axis, right? Okay. Now, in other words, Tx, the transformation applied on x, is similar, same as lambda time x for some scalar lambda. So for a matrix A, so for a matrix A, we should write Ax equal to lambda x, not Tx. So eigen means characteristic in German. The scalar lambda is also called the corresponding eigenvalue, right? Okay. So this means, now let's actually do some examples. So here, what are the eigenvectors for the matrix 1, 0, 1, 1? What will it happen? What will it do? The shear will actually, we remember the Peppa Pig picture, right? So from this side, they are kind of pushed. Okay. So what are the eigenvectors of this matrix? 1, 0, 0, 1. Oh, sorry, 1, 0, 1, 1.
1, 1.
The x-axis.
Not 1, 1, right? So 1, 1, 1 is changing slightly. Okay, you see it's changing slightly, just the x-axis. So obviously you can say anything on the x-axis, 0.50 or 10, anything. So eigenvectors can actually be normalized to a certain length. So we can say 10 is our eigenvector, and the corresponding eigenvalue is the same, by the way. So eigenvalue doesn't change. You can represent your eigenvector differently, right? So if you multiply the eigenvector by a scalar, that also remains an eigenvector with the same eigenvalue. So which vectors? Only the vector 1, 0. Right? So all other vectors change their direction. Now we can think about a question. Does it mean that this matrix has only one eigenvector? I mean, only one normalized eigenvector of one norm? Well, in our life of data science or data mining of real vector space, yes. Okay, so we'll not think about complex eigenvectors or eigenvalues. So yes, in our case, yes. Rotation, what are the eigenvectors of a rotation matrix?
No eigenvectors.
No eigenvector, because everything, so pi by 5, if you rotate by pi by 5, everything rotates, right? So no vector at all. Okay, all right. So these are our eigenvectors. So yeah, so how do you find eigenvectors and all? I think we actually don't need to go into this. Eigen decomposition is, yeah, I'll just give you the slides. You can look at it later. Yeah, this is pretty much what it's 1:20 nearly. This is pretty much what I intended to do today. Now, if anybody missed any intuition or want to look at something again, just let me know. We have a couple of minutes. We can actually discuss that, and yeah, we can discuss that.
Sir, what is the intuition behind eigenvalues in this?
Yeah, right. So I think I went through this a bit fast. Right. So, okay. So for that, let's do the following. So eigenvalues. Yeah. So this is the best one to look at, because it also already gives us a PCA kind of a feeling. But yeah. So here, what are our eigenvectors? Okay. So our eigenvectors, we can say that we can say that 1, 0 is an eigenvector and 0, 1 is another eigenvector, right? So 1, 0 is an eigenvector, which essentially means that any vector along this line, okay, so this line, right, it is only scaled. So what happened was, the original vector was of length 1, it is scaled by half. If the original vector was length 2, it would have been scaled by half and the length would be 1 now, right? So the eigenvector is, normalized eigenvector you can say, is the vector 1, 0, and the eigenvalue is half. Okay, the eigenvalue is half because, eigenvalue is half because this eigenvector by multiplication with this matrix retains the direction does not change, but the magnitude becomes half. It is scaled by half. Similarly, now you tell me what would be the eigenvalue of this vector. So you also saw that 0, 1 is an eigenvector.
2.
2, exactly.
Right.
Now for a diagonal matrix, and that is what essentially is there in the diagonalization and eigen decomposition, right? You must have done in the other course also, and just go through the slides later today or something. For a diagonal matrix, it is trivial to figure out what are my eigenvalues, right? For a diagonal matrix, the eigenvectors obviously are the canonical basis vectors, right? Because a diagonal matrix is just doing the scaling. So it is just doing the scaling, so it will scale every axis. So even if we have three-dimensional case, it will just scale every axis to some value, okay, to some factor, okay. So the eigenvectors are just the basis vectors and the eigenvalues are just my diagonal entries, okay. So that is the trivial way to figure out eigenvalues and eigenvectors for diagonal matrices. Well, that's the easy part. Now, what is not so easy part? The not so easy part are, okay, I'll just show you this formula. You can, yeah. So what happens is, what you can do is you can actually get to this eigen decomposition. Let me actually show you this. Yeah. So suppose you have a square matrix with n linearly independent eigenvectors q1 to qn, and let the corresponding eigenvalues be lambda1 to lambda n. Then what you can do is you can factorize A as some q lambda q inverse, where this lambda, so the q is just your stacked eigenvectors and lambda is your diagonalized matrix with eigenvalues. So it's like, so this part means that you can think of this as, you can think of all the matrices as transformations, and then a transformation by A is equivalent to the combination of 3 transformations, one of which is diagonal, one of which is a scaling. So your first one is a change of basis. What is Q? Okay, Q is a set of linearly independent vectors, so it is a change of basis. So Q inverse is also a set of linearly independent vectors, so that is also a change of basis. So any transformation which has a full rank, right? So which means n dimension to n dimension, which means you actually have and if it has a q, if it has n different eigenvectors, then okay, then what you can do, then it means it is essentially a change of basis, then a scaling, and then again another change of basis. So if you are applying a v on right, a vector, you're actually first multiplying by q inverse, then by lambda, and then by q, right? So first you are doing a change of basis, a scaling, another change of basis. In other words, what are these two change of basis? Q and q inverse, they are just opposite transformation, right? Q is a transformation, q inverse is opposite transformation. So you are scaling it, but you are scaling it in a different frame of reference. So you are essentially first changing the basis, going into a different world, scaling it, then coming back to your world. Well, that is this kind of a transformation, which has the following property, that it's a square n cross n matrix with n linearly independent eigenvectors. Okay. All right. So we will explain certain things a bit more when we do a singular value decomposition and use those things to apply. You will get more intuitions. Okay. So this is all for today. I'm going to share with you, obviously, the notebook, the slides, and the lecture video. So next class we'll start with, I'll just show you a glimpse of it. So next class we'll start with dimension reduction. Dimension reduction. Okay, I'm so sorry. Just a moment. So many things open here. Oh, okay. Yeah. So next class we'll start with dimension reduction. Yeah. Some of the motivations you have already seen for mean hash and all, but we are going to do dimension reduction in many different ways, essentially in a matrix based way, matrix projection or matrix factorization based way. We'll learn a few techniques on those, and then we'll actually see real hands-on techniques on how to apply them in case of, let's say, movie recommendation and others. So then we'll actually move on to recommender systems in the light of dimension reduction. Okay, so that's the plan for the next few classes. All right, any question as of now?
Sir, you please turn on the recording when you start the lecture. I think you started late the recording.
I started the recording when I started the topic on linear algebra background.
I think you started with that discussion of yesterday's quiz.
Oh, that is not recorded. That's okay. Yeah, right. I did not record that. One of the reasons is the quizzes are not on the public domain. The lectures are. Okay, so that is why I did not record that portion. So this is okay, because in general lectures are not recorded. When you attend a class in person, right? In general, they are not recorded. This is okay. The recordings are for your benefit to hear them later and understand them well. if you ever actually listen to them. I think this is okay, Ranjan. All right.
And sir, you please send the videos and the slides as well.
Yes, yes, obviously. Okay, bye then. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.